Savadutam Parijana Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaganalita Sri Vishakanvitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshitarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees to our weekly Bhakti Vaibhav class. So, till now we have been discussing the Daksha episode, the first part of the fourth canto. And last week we just began the episode of Dhruva Maharaj, wherein we saw in the beginning, in addition to various creations of Brahma, there are few children of Brahma who lifelong remained against brahmacharis, like Narada, Kumara, more names are. And also, there is a creation of Adharma, the different presiding deities of different elements of Adharma that also being indicated. Okay, because though one may want to follow in the, but still the world is such a place, time and again there are temptations, there are allurements, and there are misapprehensions and wrong guidances which enable one to take shelter of adharma or move towards adharma. So therefore, one should be constantly vigilant about what is dharma, what is adharma, and try to follow dharma, try to avoid adharma. So for that reason, what are the elements that come under the purview of adharma? A brief synopsis of that is given in the beginning of this chapter. The lineage of adharma is nicely presented in a few verses. So where we saw that adharma married lying, okay? Adharma married Mrusha, lying, and they gave birth to twins called cheating and illusion. Eventually, they married each other, sister and brother married, and they gave birth to greed and deceit. As a result of fulfilling the greed, one takes shelter of deceit, cheating others. And then, if somebody comes against to the fulfillment of their greed, there is anger and violence. So, greed and deceit gave birth to anger and violence. And the anger and violence eventually married, and they gave birth to quarrel and profanity. And quarrel and profanity married, and they gave birth to fear and death. So then, fear and death again married, they gave birth to Niraya and Yatana, hell and Yatana. That means eventually, whoever takes shelter of adharma, finally their destination will be hell. And of course, one takes shelter of adharma in order to get temporary sukha, temporary material pleasure. But ultimately, one ends up receiving unlimited, long-lasting yatana in the hellish condition, either in the hell or in hellish situation later on in the future births. Soham runam shulla sukaya dukkam mahadgatanam viramaya tasya. Something like that. For shulla sukha, people endure mahad dukkha. So that is being indicated here. So one should be always vigilant about this apramatta. One should be always remembering these things and careful, not following the footsteps of adharmic principles. Like Lord Krishna also tells in Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, I suppose. Ei samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yone evate adi antavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. The intelligent people does not take pleasure in this activities that give pleasure in the beginning and pain eventually at the long lasting time period. So they never take pleasure in such kind of activities, something like that. So having stated this, if at all one takes shelter of one of these adharmic principles, what happens in their life? To show that the next pastime is also indicated. The next pastime also has some connection to one of the adharmic principles that is there. And also, since Swayambhu Manu's descendants need to be discussed, the three daughters were already discussed: Akuti, Prasuti, Devoti, Akuti, Devoti, Prasuti. Now Uttanapada, next in the fifth canto, Privarta will be discussed. Of course, multiple purposes will be accomplished. So one of the adharmic principle was Durukti. Our Suniti, so Suruchi took the shelter of Durukti, harsh speech. As a result of that, what happened to her and her son Uttama? From that point of view, we can see, even though this seems to be normal, but that also has very painful consequences. So like that. So then the story begins. So Uttanapada had, of course, Priyavrata, Uttanapada both went to school, and Priyavrata stayed back in the Gurukul. Uttanapada returned. He was become the king. He married two ladies. Suniti, she gave birth to one son, Dhruva, and eventually he married Suruchi, and she gave birth to another son, Uttama. So one day, the king was in the inner chambers of Suruchi, and he was playing with Uttama, while his wife Suruchi was around. Somehow, Dhruva also came there searching for his father, and Dhruva also wanted to sit on the lap of his father, and he wanted to receive the love and affection just like Uttama is receiving from his father. But Uttanapada did not pay attention to Dhruva because Suruchi is there. He is kind of afraid of Suruchi, it seems. He did not pay attention to Dhruva. But Dhruva was trying to climb. So seeing the different attempts, the failing attempts of Dhruva, Suruchi says, "Oh, my dear son, you want to sit on the lap of your father? Actually, your father does not consider your mother as his wife only. Then how can he consider you as his son? So it is not possible. If at all you want to sit on the lap of your father, please worship Lord Vishnu, get his mercy, die, and then take birth in my womb. When you take birth from my womb, then you will be recognized as the son of the king. Then you will receive all the love and affection of the king." Hearing these words, Dhruva becomes very much offended. How can you speak to me like this? He became very angry, and he was going back to his mother. So some of the palace ladies already went and informed Suniti. This is what happened. So hearing what all happened, Suniti cried. When son came, she embraced. She made her son sit on her lap, and smelling her son, and also sobbing, trying to console her son. She says that Itva Mishantam Pitaram Sanna Vacham Jagama Matu Prarudan Shaka. So she was breathing very heavily, as that Dhruva was breathing very heavily. So she actually received her son and embraced him. And then she began to say that she was also very much pained by the words spoken by her co-wife, Suniti, who said with Suruchi. Suruchi said, "The king does not even consider your mother as his wife. Then what to speak of this? If you want to sit on the lap, you die." So that first of all, she's already crying because she is not considered by her husband properly. Next, she will continue to cry at the loss of her son. Something like that. So hearing all these words, she was sobbing like anything. Then she spoke to her son Dhruva. She said, "Ma amangalam tata pareshu mamsta. Ma amangalam tata pareshu. Oh tata, oh my dear son, never ever desire amangala for others." So what may appear that our current misery is due to somebody in front of us, but it is not so. Mamsta bungte janayat paradukkatastat. We actually, everyone enjoys the fruits of one's activities. So, if we have given pain to somebody else, whether in this life or in the previous life, we will get a similar pain from others in this life. So, what we are receiving today is nothing but the reaction to what we have given to somebody else in the past. So, we are simply receiving the result of our previous karmas. So, never ever find fault with or desire ill for others. By desiring ill for others today, tomorrow we'll receive ill for ourselves. So never ever do that. So like that. So she said that, and then she said, Satyam Suruchya Bihitam Bhavan me. So whatever your stepmother told is actually true. Because Durbhagyaya Udare Grihita. It is your unfortunate situation that you have been born from the womb of a very unfortunate lady. That's me. Because of my bad fortune, because of my some sinful activities in this life, though I have become the wife of the king, but the king does not consider me as his wife. So I'm already experiencing the results of my sinful activities, and you also experiencing the results of your sinful activities. One result is you have been insulted by your stepmother, and second result is you are being born from the womb of an unfortunate person like me. So both of us are simply experiencing the results of our past activities. Satyena vruddhascha vilajjate yam bharyeti va vodum idaspatirmam. My husband does not even consider me as a maid servant. Then what to speak of considering me as wife? He feels shame to consider me as his wife. So please do not expect anything more from me or from your father. So like that, the mother is very philosophically trying to console her son. So this is where we stopped last week, and now we'll continue from here, text number 19 onwards. So she continues to speak, and she not only pacifies Dhruva, she actually inspires Dhruva. Let us see. आतिष्ठतत्तात विमस्तरस्त्वम्
आतिष्ठतत्तात विमस्तरस्त्वम्
उक्तं समार्तापि यदव्यलीकम्
उक्तं समात्रापि यत् अव्यलीकम्
आराधयादोक्षजपादपद्मम्
आराधयादोक्षजपादपद्मम्
यदि च सेऽद्य सन्नं यदि च सेऽध्यासन्नमुत्तामो यथा उत्तमो यथा
यदीच्छसे ध्यासनमुत्तमो यथा. My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi, your stepmother, although very harsh to hear, is factual. Therefore, if you desire to all to sit on the same throne on your stepbrother, Uttama, then give up your envious attitude and immediately try to execute the instructions of your stepmother. Without further delay, you must engage yourself in worshipping the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Even though Suruchi does not have any respect or affection towards Suniti, even though she spoke words in an insulting and criticizing way, but Suniti is seeing something good in the words of Suruchi. So Suniti says, if you desire to be seated like your brother, yadichase adya sannam, adya asannam, uttamo yata. If you want to sit on the lap of your father, just like Uttama is sitting on the lap of his father today, then without envy of Suruchi, execute the words spoken by Suruchi. Actually, what Suniti told is correct. If at all you want to sit on the lap of your father, so what is correct? What is that? What is correct? You mean to say that I should worship Vishnu, like get his blessings, and then die and take birth in a womb? Then Suniti says, worship the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Aradaya adokshuja pada padmam. So in this verse, he says that, yes, you should worship Lord Vishnu. It is by worshipping Lord Vishnu, you can sit on the lap of your father like Uttama is sitting. So, but still answer is not complete. So then should I die and take birth in Suruchi and all? That will be explained in the future verses. In one sense, Suniti says that no, you don't have to die and take birth from a womb, but if at all you want to sit in the lap of your father, want to receive the love of your father, you should worship Lord Vishnu. That is true. What your stepmother told, don't see it as a insult. See it as an instruction and follow. So like that. Suruchi is equivalent to your mother. Sa matra. She is also like your mother. When I say you listen, similarly when Suruchi is saying you should also listen. Though she wants to harm you, but though she does not want to see you very close to your father, but she's also like a mother like me. Do what she has said. Then Dhruva says, you means that I should worship the Lord, die and then take birth as her son? Suniti says, no, my dear son, not like that. Just follow our words to worship Lord Vishnu, who will remove your pain. Currently, you are situated in the intense pain. That pain can be removed by the blessings of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, worship him. What is true is not comfortable to hear. When Suruchi says the words that worship Vishnu, because you don't like Suruchi, but the words spoken by Suruchi also you don't like. But actually, that is the truth. Worship Lord Vishnu. But, however, worshipping the Lord is not uncomfortable for anyone. Yes, hearing such instructions may be uncomfortable from personalities like Suruchi and all, but worshipping Lord Vishnu is not at all uncomfortable. Not only for you, but for anyone. Therefore, give up hatred of Suruchi. Whatever the best activity that is told by your stepmother, though in a wrong way, but since she is instructing you to do the best of all activities, please give up your anger towards her and develop loving affection towards Suruchi. Because she is instructing you to do the best of all activities. Savai pumsham paro dharma yeto bhakti radokshaje. Ahetuki avyaveta yatma suprasyati. So like that. My weeping has been written on my forehead by the Creator since birth because it is my karma. So what I can do? My karma has been decided like that because of my past karmas. I cannot change it. But you are still a small boy. Now you can do something about it, and you can invite some auspiciousness in your future life. So like that, she is assisting. You should be happy in the future. My happiness. I don't have to think about all those things. Anyway, my life is almost over. But your life is just beginning. You should be thinking about your happiness. For that, you should worship Lord Vishnu. So like that, she is instructing her son Dhruva. Now, there could be a question. Is it really? By worshipping Lord Vishnu, one's pains can be alleviated, one attains auspiciousness in the life. Is there any case studies? Is there any examples? Now, Suniti gives two very nice examples who are very, in relation to whom, who are very much connected to Dhruva Maharaj. So let us see what are the two examples. Yasyangri Padmam Paricharya Vishwa
यस्यांग्रि पद्मं परिचर्य विश्वा
विभावनायात्त गुणाभिपत्ते
विभावनायात्त गुणाभिपत्तेः
अयोध्यतिष्ठत् खलु पारमेष्ट्यम्
अद अजोज्यतिष्ठत् खलु पारमेष्ट्यम्
पदं जितात्मा श्वसनाभिवन्द्यम्
पदं जितात्मा स्वसनाभिवन्द्यम्. Suniti continued, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so great that simply by worshipping his lotus feet, your great grandfather, Lord Brahma, acquired the necessary qualifications to create this universe. Although he is unborn and is the chief of all living creatures, he is situated in that exalted post because of the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom even great yogis worship by controlling the mind and regulating the life air prana.
Now the first example is your great grandfather became Brahma by worshipping and by receiving the mercy of the Supreme Lord. By worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Yasyangri Padmam Paricharya, who is always worshipped by those who control the mind and breath. The Supreme Lord is always worshipped by the yogis, jnanis, and devotees. Rest of the universe, everyone is always worshipping the Supreme Lord. That Lord is also worshipped by your great grandfather, and who assumes Sattva Atta Guna Vipatye, for maintaining the entire universe. Who is that Lord? The Lord is the maintainer of the entire universe, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, Vishwa Bhavanaya. Worshipping that Lord, your grandfather Brahma attained his supreme position in the entire universe. Parameshti, the topmost position in the entire universe. Brahma. So basically, your great grandfather became Brahma by worshipping Lord Vishnu, who is worshipped by all the great personalities in the entire universe. All the great personalities in the entire universe became great personalities by worshipping Lord Vishnu. And among them, your great grandfather is one of the greatest personality. It's like that. Will I, Dhruva is asking, if I worship Lord Vishnu, will I enter the womb of that sinful woman by worshipping the Lord? So Suniti says that, no, my dear son, she is such a vile creature. Your father, her servant, is also vile and foolish. So Suniti also in angry mode. She says that Suruchi is vile creature, and your father being under the control of Suruchi is also vile and foolish. Worshipping the Lord, you can attain a position greater than that of Brahma. So indirectly she says that it is by worshipping the Supreme Lord, all the great personality of the entire universe became great, and also your great grandfather became Parameshti Brahma. So by worshipping the same Supreme Lord, you can become one like them or even one superior to them. Both are possible. Therefore, quickly go from here and worship the Lord. Do not lament. Don't simply stay here and lament, cry. Go and worship the Lord. By worshipping the Lord, you can attain what you want. Do not lament simply. This is explained in 4 verses. Text number 20-23. This concept will be explained. Brahma worshipped the feet of the Lord, who has accepted the position of the controller of the Sattva for maintaining the universe. So basically, the Supreme Lord has taken the responsibility of maintaining the universe by being situated himself in Sattva Avatara. That is Vishnu, the maintainer of the universe. So like that. Brahma worshipped the feet of the Lord who has accepted the position of the controller of Sattva maintaining the universe. Feet which are adorned by the yogis who have controlled their minds and pranas. So many jnanis and many yogis following pranayama, dhyana, etc., they are continuously worshipping the Supreme Lord to attain some auspicious in their life. Same way, you can also get auspiciousness in your life by worshipping the same Lord. You don't have to take birth in the womb of Suruchi. So like that. Then she gives another, so great grandfather Brahma and next grandfather example. Tata Manurvo Bhagavan Pitamaho.
तथा मनोर्व भगवान् पितामहो
Yam Yekamatya Purudakshinairmakai.
यमेक्यमत्या पुरुदक्षिणेर्मखे
Ishtva Vipede Duravapamanyato.
इष्ट्वा विपदे दुर्वाप अन्यतो
Bhaumam Sukam Divyamatapavargyam.
ओमं सुखं दिव्यम् अथापवर्ग्यम्. Suniti informed her son, your grandfather, Swayambhu Manu, executed great sacrifices with distribution of charity, and thereby, with unflinching faith and devotion, he worshipped and satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By acting in that way, he achieved the greatest success in material happiness and afterwards achieved liberation, which is impossible to obtain by worshipping the demigods.
So like that. And Manu, your grandfather, worshipping the same Supreme Lord Vishnu with controlled intelligence, Ekamatya, Yavasayatmika Buddhi, with great charity and sacrifices because he was a king. So kings are supposed to do sacrifices time and again, and they should be giving charity also continuously. He was doing it as a service to Supreme Lord, and he achieved happiness on earth. While he was ruling over the entire Bhumandala as the Manu, as the king, he was happy. He achieved prosperity and happy. And he also achieved happiness in heaven and later achieved liberation. Bhaumam Sukam, Divyam Sukam, and Apavargam, which are difficult to achieve by other means. So it is by worshipping the Supreme Lord, he achieved humanly happiness, heavenly happiness, and liberation. Because Swayambhuva Manu, not only Swayambhuva Manu, any Manu for that matter, will be on par with the Devatas. So Manu also has the same lifespan as the Devatas, and he will be considered to be one as powerful as the Devatas. So he also will have access to all the heavenly happinesses by becoming Manu. So in that way, heavenly happiness, heavenly opulence, and heavenly situation, etc., etc., etc. So from that way, my dear son, see, by worshipping Lord Vishnu, your great grandfather became Brahma, and all the great personalities of the entire universe became great, and also your grandfather achieved the prosperity and happiness of the earth, the prosperity and happiness of the heaven, and liberation. So like that. Ekamatya means with concentrated intelligence. Similarly, just like Brahma, by worshipping the Supreme Lord, your grandfather Manu attained the position of Manu, which are difficult to achieve by other means. So becoming Manu is not ordinary thing. So your grandfather became Manu by worshipping Lord Vishnu. So one close example, one far example, and also all other great personalities example also. That means if at all you want to achieve anything in this material world, you need to worship Lord Vishnu. That is one thing. But Dhruva might say that as of now, I don't have all the ambitions for that kingdom position and all. Right now, I just want to receive the love and affection of my parents. I don't want anything else. So then she says, Tameva vasasraya bhutya vastalam.
वत्सलम्
मुमुक्षुभिर्मृग्य पदाब्द पद्धतिम्
मुमुक्षुभिर्मृग्यपदाब्ज पद्धतिम्
अनन्य भावे निज धर्म भाविते
अनन्यभावे निजधर्म भाविते
मनस्यवस्थाप्य भजस्व पूरुषम्
मनस् अवस्थाप्स्य भजस्व पूरुषम्. My dear boy, you also should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees. Persons seeking liberation from the cycle of birth and death always take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service. Becoming purified by executing your allotted occupation, just situate the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your heart and without deviating for a moment, engage always in his service.
O child, similarly, following in the footsteps of your grandfather and great-grandfather, take shelter of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, Shuradakshaya Vishnu, Tameva Ashraya, who is affectionate to his servant, Bhrutya Vastalam, and whose footsteps are sought by aspirants for liberation. Mumukshibir Mugya Padapja Badatim. Whoever want liberation, you are looking for some kind of happiness through the affection and love of your parents, your father and me, because your father anyway does not know how to show affection to his wife, then how can he show affection to his children? And me, I am already deeply tormented by my situation. What kind of affection I can show? The great personalities of this world always performing severe tapasya and controlling their breath and pranas to receive an affectionate glance of the Supreme Lord. Because if you once receive the affection of Supreme Lord, you don't look for the affection of people like us. Because his affection excels the affection of anybody else in this world. Lord's, the slightest affection of the Supreme Lord is much more than 10,000s of parents, tens of thousands of parents. So don't worry about your current situation of not able to receive the affection of your mother and father. If you receive the affection of Supreme Lord, that will be incomparable. That will be crore times better than the affection that you may receive from your father and mother. So please strive for that. Therefore, take shelter of the Supreme Lord, who is affectionate to his servant, and whose footsteps are sought by the aspirants of liberation. Worship the Lord, fixing him in your mind, purified by bhakti, with attachment to nothing else. Ananya bhave nijadharma bhavite manasavastapya vajasva purusham. Without any other thought in mind, just worship the Supreme Lord. If you receive his mercy, you will receive the affection of millions of parents. And our affection is nowhere comparable to that. Like that, Suniti is telling to his son, Dhruva. The Lord is affectionate to his servant. He will have more affection for you than the affection of millions of mothers like me. So you might be anchoring the affection of me and your father, but Lord's affection is incomparable. Lord's affection is much more than millions of mothers like me. You will not encounter a trace of suffering. Take shelter of the Supreme Lord, the path of whose lotus feet, Supreme Lord's path, Supreme Lord, the path of whose lotus feet are sought by the aspirants for liberation. The mumuksha always worshipping the Lord in order to attain mumuksha, liberation, but which is not easily attained by them. It is very difficult for them to attain. No problem, though it is very difficult, but make an endeavor. Having taken shelter, you should place them. You should place the lotus feet of Supreme Lord in your mind, which has attachment for nothing else. Ananya bhave. There should be, without keeping any other goal in mind, just keep the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord in your mind and perform tapasya to attain that lotus feet, to attain darshan of the Supreme Lord. Worship the Supreme Lord. Therefore, worship the Supreme Lord. Fix him in the mind purified by Bhagavad Dharma, Bhakti. Since a 5-year-old boy is not qualified for Karma Yoga or other Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga. A small boy cannot practice other sadhanas. A small boy can only practice Bhakti. Kaumaram macharet prajno dharman bhagavataniha durlabam manusham janma tadipya dhruvam martadam. Those who have taken birth in Bharatavarsha from the age of Kaumara, that is 1 to 5, one should start practicing Bhakti Yoga. Because for Bhakti Yoga, there are no restrictions in terms of age, color, creed, caste, gender. Anyone and everyone from anywhere can practice Bhakti Yoga. So right now you cannot practice Karma Yoga, you cannot practice Jnana Yoga, you cannot practice Ashtanga Yoga, but simply practice Bhakti Yoga by taking shelter of Lord's lotus feet and worship Him, following the footsteps of great souls who are worshipping His lotus feet to attain moksha, but you worship Him to receive the affection of the Supreme, affectionate glance of Supreme Lord. Because His affectionate glance can award you the love of 10 million mothers and 10 million fathers. So, because now Dhruva is crying because he is not receiving the affection from his father. So Suniti says, don't worry, you will receive affection of 10 million mothers and 10 million fathers. So worship the Supreme Lord, whom the great yogis and jnanis are worshipping to get liberation. So like this, step by step, she is inspiring Dhruva to take shelter of Lord Vishnu and worship Lord Vishnu. How many of us will tell our neighbor people, our surrounding, our kinsmen, our family members like this? Next, Sunati continues. Hare Krishna, devotees are able to follow. Any questions?
Yes, Prabhuji, follow.
Yes, Prabhuji, following. Very
Okay.
nice.
We are following.
Nanyam tata padma palasalochanaat
Nanyam tata padma palasalochanaat
dukkha chidam te mrugayami kanchana
dukkachidam te mrigayami kanchana
yo mrugyate astagrihita padmaya
yo mrigyate hastagृहीत padmaya
triyetarairanga vimrugyamanaya.
श्रियेतरैरङ्ग विमृग्यमाण्यता. My dear Dhruva, as far as I am concerned, I do not find anyone who can mitigate your distress but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose eyes are like lotus petals. Many demigods, such as Lord Brahma, seek the pleasure of the goddess of fortune. But the goddess of fortune herself, with a lotus flower in her hand, is always ready to render service to the Supreme Lord.
I do not find anyone who can extinguish your suffering except the lotus-eyed Supreme Lord, who is sought by Lakshmi, who holds a lotus in her hand, and who is sought by Brahma and others. So in this world, all the devatas are always worshipping Lord Mother Lakshmi so that they can remain situated in their respective position and prosper well. And Mother Lakshmi always serving Lord Vishnu with an intention to get a glance of Lord Vishnu. So now there is a gradation. Devatas, Mother Lakshmi and Lord Vishnu. The people of this world may say that, you want something? Approach Indra, approach Chandra, approach Surya, approach Varuna, approach Shiva, approach Durga, approach Ganesha. So the normal common notation of this world is worship Devatas. Your desires can be fulfilled. But all the Devatas, to remain prosperous in their own position, to may remain intact in their own position, they always worship Mother Lakshmi. It is by the glance of Mother Lakshmi, they remain where they are. They remain in the same position where they are situated. Okay, now by logic, you should worship Mother Lakshmi. Because it is Mother Lakshmi by whose glance all the Devatas are prosperous. So then why you should worship Lakshmi? Then now the problem is, Mother Lakshmi also continuously serving Lord Vishnu with a desire to get his compassionate glance. Then, okay, if that is the case, then worship Lord Vishnu. So like that. So Suniti is directly telling you worship Lord Vishnu, who is actually best of all people in the entire universe. Don't worry that going to Vishnu is correct or not. Please kindly remove all such confusions. Lord Vishnu is sought by Mother Lakshmi, who is sought by all the devatas. And I don't see anyone but Lord Vishnu can alleviate your pain that you are going through right now. Seeing their temporary nature, I do not advise you to worship the devatas, who, though easy to worship, are incapable of uprooting your suffering, since they give some temporary results. The Lord has lotus eyes. Just by his glance, you, burning with grief, will become cool like a lotus flower. Mother Lakshmi holds a lotus in her hand like a lamp, and she is sought by Brahma and others. So that Supreme Lord, whose eyes are like lotus, when he glances at you, you will become cool like lotus. That means all pain and suffering, everything will be taken away. You will become as beautiful as lotus. It's like that. So these are the instructions of Sunati. And Dhruva heard all these instructions and he must have asked his mother, Mother, where to worship Lord Vishnu? So mother says, all the mumukshubi, all the yogis and great sages and devotees and all, they go to forest and worship Lord Vishnu. So please go to forest, following in their footsteps and worship Lord Vishnu there. So then immediately Dhruva goes to forest. Maitreya Uvacha
Maitreya Uvacha.
Evam Sanjalpitam Matu
Evam sankalpitam matur
Akarnartagamam Vachaha
akarnyarthakamam vachah
Sanniyamyatmanatmanam
sanniyamatmanatmanam
Nishkrama Pituhu Purat.
niskrama pituhu purat. Maitreya uvacha evam sanjalpitam matur akarnyarthagamam vachah sanyayamya atmanatmanam nischakrama pituhu purat. The great sage Maitreya continued, the instruction of Dhruva Maharaj's mother Suniti was actually meant for fulfilling his desired objective. Therefore, after deliberate consideration and with intelligent and fixed determination, he left his father's house.
So, hearing his mother's words, hearing the words spoken by Suniti, who told, My dear son, I don't see anyone but Lord Vishnu can alleviate your pain. It is by worshipping Lord Vishnu your grandfather became Manu and attained earthly, heavenly happiness and also attained liberation. And your great grandfather became Brahma, and all the super great personalities of this world became great. And so many great yogis, jnanis, and others desiring liberation, worshipping Lord Vishnu. Following in their footsteps, you also worship Lord Vishnu, by whose glance you will receive the affection of millions of mothers like me. Anyway, your father is not willing to show any affection to you. So you may be thinking that I should show you better affection, but I also can't show because of my unfortunate situation. Only Lord Vishnu can award you that affection of millions of mothers like me. So hearing his mother's words, which would fulfill all his desires, controlling his mind by his intelligence, Dhruva left the house of his father, Nischakrama Pithu Purat. Because his father does not consider his mother to be his wife, so it is said that father's house. If the mother also part of mother was respected by father, then would have said that his parents' house. So that's why it is said his father's house. He left his father's house because his mother has no recognition as his wife in the family, in the palace. That's why. So Dhruva was going to the forest to worship Lord Vishnu, just like the Mumukshubis are worshipping Lord Vishnu. But on the way, being inspired by Paramatma, Narada Muni comes. Naradastadupakarnya
नारदस्तदुपाकर्ण्य
ज्ञात्वा तस्या चिकीर्षितम्
ज्ञात्वा तस्य चिकीर्षितम्
पृष्ट्वा मूर्धनि अगाग्नेन
स्पर्श्वामूर्ध्य अघाघ्येन
पाणिना प्राह विस्मिता
प्राणिना प्राहविस्मिता. The great sage Narada overheard this news and understanding all the activities of Dhruva Maharaj, he was struck with wonder. He approached Dhruva and touching the boy's head with his all virtuous hand, and he spoke as follows. Hare Krishna.
So Dhruva is going to the forest to worship Lord Vishnu like the Mumukshis. The mother only told to worship Lord Vishnu. So mother did not tell how to worship Lord Vishnu. So since he is going to do something wonderful, so somebody should instruct him how to do things. Like in the fourth canto, we see later on being instructed by their father, the 10 Pratyatas are also going to forest to worship Lord Vishnu. The father told, please go to forest, worship Lord Vishnu, get his blessings, come back, get married, and become the kings and take care of the kingdom. So they know that they have to worship Lord Vishnu, but they don't know how to worship Lord Vishnu. So give them the proper instruction by which they can worship Lord Vishnu in a proper way. Lord Shiva comes and teaches them Rudra Gita, how to worship Lord Vishnu, so that very quickly in the mercy of God. Same way, now for Dhruva Maharaj, being inspired by the Supreme Lord, Narada Muni personally comes and teaches him how to worship Lord Vishnu in a better, simplified, easy, and bona fide way, so that the Lord Vishnu's mercy can be obtained quickly and easily. So, like that, we can see in the Bhagavatam, there are many places. If somebody is serious, if somebody is sincere to take shelter of Lord Vishnu and worship Lord Vishnu, it is the Supreme Lord who inspires some Guru to come in the life of such devotee. So, this we can understand through the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj, through the pastime of Pratyata, and through the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad also, he was still in the womb only, but in the previous life he must have desired that he want to be devotee. So in this life he is becoming devotee. And it is Narada Muni who came on his own and took Kayadu to his own ashram and teaching him, not 1 day, 2 day, for thousands of years, while his father was performing tapasya. So like that. So everything depends on our desire. If we are desirous of progressing in our spiritual life, Lord will come to guide us in the proper direction. So, but we should be serious, we should be genuine in our desire to pursue the Supreme Lord. So, that's why Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Kshamam Vahamiham. Ananya Chintayuntamam Yechana Paripasate Tesham Nitya Viyuktanam Yoga Kshamam Vahamiham. Somebody is desirous of pursuing me, and I will help them in all aspects. By Dadami Buddhiyogantam Yano Upayandite, there is one more verse. So there also, like how that will happen? Through the via medium of some bona fide spiritual master. The spiritual master comes in our life when we show our seriousness, our sincerity in worshipping the Supreme Lord. So like that. So Narada, hearing this, and thus understanding the activities of the boy, that the boy left the palace and traveling through the forest path in order to worship the Supreme Lord. But he don't know how to worship the Supreme Lord. He's just 5 years old boy. He never saw somebody worshiping the Supreme Lord. So now Narada, he became astonished looking at the determination of the small boy and touching the boy's head with his hand, which destroys all sins, then spoke to himself. Aga Himena Panina. So what is the specialty of the touch of Narada Muni? Just like by the touch of Lord Vishnu, later on we see that The imports of all Vedic literatures are manifested in the heart of Dhruva. And by the touch of Lord Narasimha, the imports of all Vedic literature are manifested in the heart of Prahlad Maharaj. And by the touch of Narada Muni, before that one thing, removal of all sins are happening. Avagna, all the sins are destroyed. Then the heart is pure, good enough to receive Lord's mercy. So the spiritual master removes anarthas. The Supreme Lord fills our heart with the realization of Lord's form. Lord's Nama, Guna, Rupa, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. So like that we can understand. So we need a guru in our life by whose touch our sinful tendencies, our sinful reactions, our prarabdha, aprarabdha, bijam, kutam, everything will be removed. Then our heart becomes free to receive the Supreme Lord. So then by the touch of the Supreme Lord, our heart will be filled with the realizations of Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, etc. For which we can see Dhruva Maharaj as a sadhaka. How Dhruva Maharaj as a sadhaka going through various stages. So first he showed his determination. Now the Guru comes on his own in his life to instruct him what to do and how to do. So like that. So Dhruva Narada Muni is considering Aho Teja Kshatriyanam
Aho Tejaha Kshatriyanam
Manabhagnam Amrushyatam
Manabhagnam Amrasyatam
Balopi Ayam Hruda Datte
Alopi Ayam Datte
Yes Samantu Rasadvachaha.
Yat Samatur Asadvachaha. How wonderful are the powerful Kshatriyas. They cannot tolerate even a slight infringement upon their prestige. Just imagine, this boy is only a small child, yet harsh words from his stepmother proved unbearable to him.
What power of the Kshatriyas who are unable to tolerate a slight to their pride. Though only a small boy, he has taken the unkind words of his stepmother seriously. So this is one principle we can see in Rama and Mahabharata also. The nature of Kshatriyas is they can tolerate so much physical pain, but they can't tolerate a word of insult. On the other hand, the Brahmanas can tolerate so much criticism, so much words of criticism, but they cannot tolerate little physical pain. This is how the scriptures used to discriminate the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. Some general qualities of Brahmanas are they can tolerate verbal insults, but they cannot tolerate in physical pain. And Kshatriyas can tolerate physical pain because in the battle, their whole body can be pierced by so many arrows and so many scratches by the sword and all. They can tolerate all those things. But if somebody says, you coward, they cannot withstand that. Lord Krishna also tells the Arjuna same thing. Oh, Arjuna, you think that you can go to forest and stray bhoktum bhakshamapi okay? You can live happily in the forest. But when some Kshatriya tells you, oh, coward, you are fleeing away from the battle, unable to fight, unable to stand in front of us, then you will come back and raise your weapon. So what is the use of you going to the forest and because Kshatriyas by nature cannot tolerate insulting words. So like that. See what kind of Kshatriya mentality is there in a small boy also. He does not even tolerate one word of his stepmother. He has come to the forest to worship the Lord. So like that. Then thinking like this, Narada speaks to Dhruva. Narada Uvacha.
Narada Uvacha.
Nadunapiavamanam te.
Adunapyavam te.
Sammanam vapi putraka.
Sammanam vapi putraka.
Lakshyama kumarasya. Lakshayama Kumarasa
Kumarasya
Shaktasya Kridanadishu.
Saktasya
Saktasya
Kridatna
Kridanadishu.
Narada Uvacha Nadunapyapamanam te Sammanam Vapi Putraka Lakyama Kumarasya Saktasya Kridanadisu. The great sage Narada told to Dhruva, my dear boy, you are only a little boy whose attachment is to sports and other frivolities. Why are you so affected by words insulting your honor?
So Narada Muni is kind of pacifying Dhruva. Oh child, since you are a small boy attached to playing, that means small children are supposed to play continuously. I do not see at this time that you should feel honored or disrespected. Even we see in the home also, even when parents or anybody it chastises or beats the children, they don't keep it for long. Sometimes they may cry and then immediately they become normal and they start playing. They don't take things seriously in childhood. So Narjamani says children are always eager to play and they don't take the insulting words or beating of the parents seriously. So are you why have you come to the forest? You should go home and play. You should be interested in playing. Then he further says, Vikalpe Vidyamanepi
विकल्पे विद्यमानेऽपि
Nai Asantosha Hetavaha
न हि असन्तोष हेतवः
Pumsho Mohamrute Binna
सोमोहमृते भिन्न
Yelloka Nijakarma Bihi.
यल्लोकानि च
Loke
कर्मभिः.
Nijagarmahi.
My dear
So
Dhruva, if you feel that your sense of honor has been insulted, you still have no cause for dissatisfaction. This kind of dissatisfaction is another feature of the illusory energy. Every living entity is controlled by his previous actions, and therefore there are different varieties of life for enjoying or suffering.
though opposites exist, there is no other cause of dissatisfaction except for men's illusion. Since everywhere these causes of dissatisfaction are produced by one's karma. Narada Muni again telling the same thing. Like Dhruva might have told that no, how can I neglect the insulting words of my stepmother? Then Narada says, yeah, that is the nature of this world. The praise or insult that we receive is due to our own past karmas. Reacting to them brings no good. So in that way. Though opposites exist, dualities exist, they do not exist to this extent for the jnanis. For them, what dissatisfaction is there? Where are its causes? The jnanis, the intellectual people, do not analyze so much about the dualities of this world. They kindly ignore because they say this entire world is an illusory thing. Whatever things are happening in the world are just illusory. They don't worry about all those things. For bhaktas and karma yogis, however, opposites exist. For jnanis, they are indifferent to the things of the material world. They are completely indifferent to the dualities of this material world. On the other hand, for devotees and karma yogis who live in this world, they have to deal with the opposites. They have to deal with the dualities. Though the dualities exist, the causes of dissatisfaction, such as being disrespected, and the person causing that are non-different from illusion. Because everywhere in the world, the cause of dissatisfaction, such as disrespect and people causing it, arise through individuals' bad karma. The words of criticism and your stepmother who criticized you, they are simply results of your bad karma. So there is no point at responding or finding fault with those words of criticism or the one who spoke those words. Because the person in knowledge should understand that whatever I am receiving is the result of my bad karma. To whom to blame? To the words, or to the person who hurling the words, or to the karma, or to the person who did the karma? Whom to blame? So why are you angry upon your stepmother? Because what your stepmother did is the result of your past karma only. Who is to blame except oneself? We have to blame ourselves only. Whatever good or bad happens in our life is due to our own previous karmas. Therefore, the discriminating devotees and karmis become free of envy. The karma yogis and bhakta yogis who are in knowledge, they will never ever find fault with others. This is the same words which mother spoke. Narada Muni is also again speaking. Just to pacify Dhruva. Because if at all Dhruva want to practice bhakti, one cannot practice bhakti in an angry mood. That is not good for one's practice of bhakti. First, one should become peaceful, then one should practice bhakti. So like that. So this could be one of the reasons that when somebody who is very dear to us in our family leaves their body, Shastra recommends that follow Sutak for a few days. Because at least in those few days, one will be very in agony, and also one will be very angry with the Supreme Lord or with somebody who could be one of the apparent reason of the death of this person whom this person loves the most. So for that reason, it is said that during Sutak, they remain in their home. They don't interact with many people outside, and they don't even go to temple, and they don't even worship Supreme Lord, because wherever they go, whomsoever they may go, they keep complaining. They keep expressing their anger out of separation from their beloved one. Because serving the Lord, serving the elder should not happen in an angry mood, in an angry situation, a painful situation. So in those days, in those times, one is said to be stay in seclusion. So that's why the Sutak thing is kind of indicated. So next, the other two last verses we'll do for today. We'll come stop at 30th verse. Paritushe tatastata tavan matrena purushaha
तावन्मात्रेण पुरुषः
daivopasaditam yavad
दैवोपसादितं
देवोपसादितं
यावत्
यावत्
viksheshwaragatim budaha
वीक्षेश्वरगतिं बुधः
ईश्वरगतिं
atamatropadištena
ततमात्रोपदिष्टेन
गतमात्रोपदिष्टेन
yogena varurustayasi
योगेन
योगेन वरुणस्तति
yat prasadam savai pumsham
यत्प्रसादं स वै
यत्प्रसादं स
पुंसां
वै पुंसा
duraradyo mato mama.
दुराध्यायो
दुराराध्यमतो मम
ममः. Hare Krishna. Translation: The process of Supreme Personality of Godhead is very wonderful. One who is intelligent should accept the process and be satisfied with whatever comes, favorable or unfavorable, by his supreme will. Next text translation. Now you have decided to undertake the mystic process of meditation under the instruction of your mother, just to achieve the mercy of the Lord. But in my opinion, such austerities are not possible for any ordinary man. It is very difficult to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
So here Narada Muni is saying, therefore, understanding that karma is produced by the Lord's will, the intelligent person should be satisfied with the amount of happiness and distress one receives through one's karma. So my dear Dhruva, whatever good and bad, happiness and distress that we receive in our life, it is all as a result of our past karmas, and it is given to us by the supervision of the Supreme Lord, because the Lord is in charge for maintenance. Whatever is happening, the way it is happening under the supervision of Supreme Lord. So everything, since everything is happening under the supervision of Supreme Lord, so one should be peaceful, one should accept it. So because one cannot deny what is given by the Supreme Lord. Since if one who has respect to Supreme Lord, whatever Lord gives, one should accept. So like that. It is my opinion that the Lord, whose mercy you desire to attain by the process taught by your mother, is difficult for men to worship. And your mother told, Mumukshubir pada padabja paddatim. Follow the path followed by the designers of moksha, the jnanis and yogis. And that path is very difficult. You are a small boy. Even the great mature yogis and jnanis, it is very difficult for them. How can you follow that? So it is very difficult for you. So kindly understand it. Better go home now and spend your childhood playing. When you grow old and rule the kingdom, and when you grow old, then you come and perform all these austerities and all, then you receive the mercy of this. Then you become matured enough to practice and tolerate the severe conditions of the forest life. Now it is not possible for you. Please go home. Like that, Dhruva is suggesting, Narada Muni is suggesting Dhruva. Since this is so, one by intelligence should be satisfied with whatever amount of happiness and distress is attained by one's own actions in previous lives. Understanding that karma produces results under the direction of the Supreme Lord, Ishvara Gatim. This endeavor you want to start is very difficult. So you want to follow in the footsteps of that Mukshubir, Pada Padapcha Padatim. That is very difficult for a small boy to follow. So right now, better go home and play and grow up, get married, rule the kingdom and enjoy, and then come to get renounced from the kingdom and come to forest and then follow. That will be proper and that will be good for you when you do it in that time. So like that, Narada Muni is making a kind suggestion to his that small boy Dhruva. So next week we will see whether that small boy Dhruva will listen to Narada Muni and follow what Narada Muni says or not. Hare Krishna, we'll stop here. So thank you very much. Yes, Mataji.
Anybody speaks harsh words, we should accept it as our past karma and leave it. But what about the person who is speaking the harsh words? He's creating new karma or?
Yes, they are creating their own karma. By becoming the instrument of our karma, and they are creating their own karma.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
So, okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी. क्या ना कभी कभी ऐसा लगता है कि लोग का हार्श वर्ड, if you are hearing insult, we are hearing or not giving response, then sometimes people become frustrated. What do you become frustrated? How much we are going to tolerate this here? Every time people are giving such a harsh word, there people are insulting in front of others. So what is the solution, Prabhuji?
There is no solution. See, tolerating means, see, what we can say, immaturely we cannot tolerate. If we forcefully, if we want to tolerate, we may tolerate 1, 2, 3 times. The 4th time, we combine the anger of the 4 times and burst out. That will be too harmful for us. So we should react based on where we are. What Suniti is saying, what Narada Muni are saying, they are the highest principles of Dharma. Of course, they are telling to Dhruva because their time of living is Satya Yuga. They are already in elevated consciousness. In that elevated consciousness, one should not. But obviously, he will become angry because that is the nature of Kshatriya. Kshatriya cannot tolerate. That this story is very nicely explained in the Mahabharata. When Parashurama, after he taught everything to Karna, who joined in the school as a Brahmana student. So one insect came while Parashuram was sleeping on the lap of, keeping his head on the lap of Karna. One insect came and pricking the thighs of Karna. and it made a wound, and the blood was coming out, and the blood went and touched Parshuram, and Lord Parshuram immediately got up, and he saw, what is this? A Brahmana can never ever tolerate so much pain, that his body is wounded by some insect and blood is oozing away, and a Brahmana does not tolerate it. So you have tolerated means you are not a Brahmana. Why did you speak lies to me? I vowed not to teach any Kshatriyas. Only a Kshatriya can tolerate like this. Because a Kshatriya can tolerate. That's why Bhishma tolerated so many arrows in his entire body for 60 days. He was lying on the bed of arrows. Because he was a Kshatriya, he could tolerate. But a Brahmana cannot tolerate so much pain. So like that. So, based on the person's mentality, the things are there, they may not tolerate. But are we Kshatriyas, are we Brahmanas, who are we? We don't know. But in any case, the first canto also, when Parikshit Maharaj asks bull, who is the cause of your suffering? The bull says, I don't know who is the cause of my suffering. The different Shastras say different things are the cause of my suffering. I'm confused. And so I don't know. You are knowledgeable, you ascertain. Then Sutta Goswami says that actually the cause of one's own suffering is oneself. If we identify the immediate cause who is in front of us as the cause of our suffering, that means we are transferring the cause from ourselves to somebody who is in front of us. Because of the transferring of cause of one's own suffering, one is also entitled to get the same suffering as the one who is in front of us, who is inflicting suffering to us. Just like Mataji is asking, na? So we have to tolerate. But what about the people who speak the criticism, words of criticism? That is their karma. So if we say that this person is speaking harsh words and as a result of that I am hurt, I am feeling pain. For speaking harsh words, whatever reaction he is supposed to get, if we identify that he is the one who is causing me pain, we will also get the same result. Though for no mistake of us, we are entitled to get it. This is the finer principle of Dharma, as first canto says. So the safest position is, as Suniti said, as Dhruva said, is when somebody causes trouble to us, so we should accept that, okay, it is result of my karma. It is easy to say, easy to discuss,
but
very difficult to
practice.
follow. But by hearing more and more again and again, maybe someday we develop that kind of tolerance. It may not be possible today, but we should be hearing all these things very regularly so that one day we may develop that such tolerance. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We'll stop here. बहुत टाइम हो गया. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्तवृंद की जय.
Yeah.
So next Sunday we'll continue.